An Israeli fraudster was using the Tinder dating app to charm an unsuspecting group of girls and steal their money with cunning and sophistication. Posing as a wealthy diamond heir, he lured his victims with promises of love and luxury, only to entangle them in a web of deceit that spanned continents. This is not just the story of broken hearts, but of bank accounts drained and lives altered forever. So who is this man? And how did he craft his intricate maze of lies? Keep watching as we delve into the full story, uncovering a saga of manipulation and greed that's as shocking as it is true. Shimon Yehuda Hayut, born in 1990 in Ramat al-Shanon, Bnei Brak, Israel, took an unconventional path early in life. His father, Yohanan Hayut, held the esteemed position as chief rabbi at El Al Airlines. Hayut traveled to Brooklyn, New York, with his friends and family when he was just 15 years old. However, beneath the surface of this seemingly ordinary narrative lies a tale of deception and intrigue. Delving deeper into Hayut's story reveals a pattern of deceit that began in his teenage years. Felicity Morris's interviews unveil a troubling history of minor cons, such as check fraud dating back to his adolescence. But he decided to shed his birth name, Shimon Hayut, in favor of Simon Leviev, which catapulted him into a world of audacious impersonation. By adopting the prestigious surname Leviev, Hayut sought to align himself with Lev Avnerovich Leviev, a prominent Israeli businessman renowned as the King of Diamonds. This calculated move was a bold attempt to project an image of wealth and status, despite a lack of genuine familial connection. Hayut's transformation into Simon Leviev set the stage for elaborate schemes and legal entanglements. From Israel to Europe, he navigated a labyrinth of false identities and fabricated stories, evading authorities and exploiting unsuspecting individuals along the way. In 2011, Hayut faced charges in Israel related to theft, forgery, and fraud after cashing stolen checks. Reports suggest he acquired a checkbook from a family he babysat for and another while employed as a handyman at their residence. Evading court appearances, he fled the country using a fake passport under the alias Mordecai Nashim Tapiro, crossing into Jordan and eventually reaching Europe. Subsequently, in 2012, an Israeli court indicted him for theft, forgery, and leaving a child unattended following an incident involving a 5-year-old under his care. In 2015, he was apprehended in Finland, where he received a 3-year prison sentence. Upon arrest, he claimed Israeli nationality, was born in 1978, and was found in possession of multiple forged Israeli documents and American Express credit cards. Upon his early release, he returned to Israel in 2017 to face further charges. However, as the Times of Israel reported, he adopted a new identity by legally changing his name to Simon Leviev and fled the country once more. While traveling across Europe, he assumed various personas and allegedly posed as the son of a Russian-Israeli diamond tycoon, Lev Leviev. He conned women on dating apps like Tinder into lending him money. But how did he pull it off? What was his scheme to betray them? One chilly January evening in 2018, Cecily Fjellhoy, who was sitting in her London apartment, casually swiped left and right on Tinder. Cecily came across the profile of Simon Leviev, a seemingly attractive and well-traveled man. Intrigued, she swiped right, and they instantly matched. Shortly after, Simon messaged her, expressing interest in meeting for coffee while he was in town for business. He even shared his location at the Four Seasons Hotel in London without hesitation. Intrigued by Simon Leviev, Cecily did a quick Google search to ensure that he wasn't hiding anything nefarious. To her relief, she found an active Instagram profile and a legitimate diamond company associated with his last name. Satisfied, she agreed to meet him and see where things would lead. Aware that Simon had business commitments later that night, Cecily swiftly prepared for their date. Arriving at the Four Seasons Hotel, she messaged Simon to let him know she had arrived, then settled into a plush chair in the opulent lobby to wait. Despite the anticipation, there was no sign of Simon. Just as Cecily began to wonder if he would show up, a message from Simon indicated his arrival. Looking up, Cecily spotted him entering the lobby. True to his profile, he exuded confidence and sophistication, and dressed impeccably. Cecily couldn't help but be impressed by his presence. As Cecily and Simon conversed over coffee, she found herself increasingly drawn to him. Simon displayed genuine interest in learning about Cecily, listening attentively to her every word. Despite enjoying their time together, Cecily's heart sank when Simon mentioned his impending meeting in Sofia, Bulgaria. Unexpectedly, Simon invited Cecily to join him on his private jet to Bulgaria, allowing them to continue their conversation and get to know each other better. This offer took Cecily by surprise, realizing it was a rare opportunity. Simon had previously mentioned his involvement in the diamond industry and claimed to be the Prince of Diamonds, revealing his father's prestigious background. Showing Cecily a photoshopped image of himself with his father, Simon's proposal opened up a new realm of possibilities for their budding connection. Simon Leviev, renowned globally as the King of Diamonds, owned the highly profitable LLD Diamonds Company. Explaining his lavish lifestyle, Lev's extensive connections, including close friendships with figures like Vladimir Putin and Angolan President José Eduardo dos Santos, further emphasized his immense wealth and influence. Agreeing to accompany Simon, Cecily was chauffeured by a Rolls-Royce to her house before heading to the airport. However, upon arriving, she was surprised to learn that Simon's ex-wife and child would join them. Assured by Simon that it was merely his turn to spend time with his daughter and that they would part ways upon reaching Bulgaria, Cecily boarded the plane despite mixed reactions from her friends. With Simon, his family, and a team including a business partner and his ex-bodyguard Poiter, Cecily embarked on a journey across the English Channel, eager to explore the unexpected adventure ahead. Simon shared with Cecily the intricacies of the diamond business, highlighting its dangers, alongside the allure of a lifestyle filled with travel and luxury. They indulged in champagne and caviar aboard the private jet, setting the tone for an extravagant evening. Upon landing, Cecily, Simon, and their companions immersed themselves in the vibrant nightlife where money seemed to flow freely. The night was unforgettable, with expenses surpassing Cecily's wildest expectations. Returning to their hotel, Cecily and Simon spent the night together, basking in the euphoria of their shared experiences. Despite everything seeming too perfect, Cecily couldn't shake the feeling that it was too good to last. Simon generously arranged for Cecily's return ticket home, leaving her uncertain about their future. As she flew back to London, she couldn't help but wonder if their encounter would remain a fleeting memory or evolve into something more. As Cecily's phone chimed with a message from Simon, her heart skipped a beat. His words expressed a desire to spend more time together, igniting butterflies in Cecily's stomach. Could this be the beginning of a real relationship, or had she finally found her soulmate? Over the following days, Cecily and Simon exchanged messages, their conversations growing more profound and intimate. Simon shared his locations across Europe, eager for Cecily to join him on his travels. Their communication flourished through voice messages, texts, and heartfelt discussions about love. Simon's declarations of missing Cecily only fueled her growing feelings for him. In London, Simon invited Cecily to join him again, and they spent another enchanting night together. Their bond deepened as they continued to explore new destinations, while Simon conducted his business affairs. Cecily fell for Simon's charm and generosity with each passing moment. In a moment straight out of a fairy tale, Simon formally asked Cecily to be his girlfriend, solidifying their relationship. It seemed as though Cecily had found her Prince Charming, a wealthy and caring partner who treated her with the utmost respect and affection. After weeks of dating, Simon proposed that he and Cecily move in together, offering a generous monthly budget of $15,000 for a London apartment. Cecily eagerly searched for the perfect place, often sending videos or having video calls with Simon to involve him in decision-making. While they hadn't settled on a final apartment, everything seemed idyllic. Simon became increasingly worried about his enemies in the diamond industry and warned Cecily about the dangers. He asked her not to leave any digital evidence to stay safe. Despite feeling unsure, Cecilie agreed to Simon's request to get a credit card in her name. This allowed him to do business without leaving a trail. At first, Simon paid off the card after maxing it out, but soon it was maxed out again, making Cecilie anxious. To solve this, Simon made Cecilie an employee of LLD Diamonds, giving her a big salary and paperwork to raise the card's spending limit. As their relationship progressed, Cecilie accompanied Simon to Amsterdam, where he reassured her of their stability. By March 2018, Cecilie felt content, believing she had found the perfect partner in Simon. Meanwhile, in Stockholm, Sweden, Pernilla Sjöholm swiped on Tinder and matched with Simon Leviev, intrigued by his adventurous profile. They agreed to meet in Amsterdam, where they discovered a mutual connection, but decided to remain friends due to a lack of romantic attraction. They indulged in partying and sporadic travel for several weeks. Simon, accompanied by Pernilla, jetted off to Mykonos, Rome, and other European hotspots. Despite spending ample time together, Pernilla encountered Simon's new partner and realized it wasn't Cecilie Fjellhøj. Meanwhile, believing in their exclusivity, Cecilie received affectionate messages from Simon amidst his European escapades. But as March turned into April 2018, Cecilie started feeling worried. Simon wasn't around much, but they still talked every day. Meanwhile, her credit card debt kept growing, making her even more stressed about money. Simon continuously assured Cecilie that more funds were forthcoming, citing escalating threats from his adversaries. One night, Cecilie received distressing messages and images from Simon and his bodyguard Poiter, covered in blood after an alleged attack by his enemies. Concerned for his safety, Cecilie eagerly offered assistance. Simon requested $20,000 to facilitate his escape to safety, prompting Cecilie to obtain a loan. Subsequently, Simon's appeals for financial aid persisted, leading Cecilie to accumulate substantial debts in her efforts to support him, despite lacking the means to do so herself. Despite Simon's initial assurances of financial stability, weeks passed with him continually requesting more money from Cecilie. Fearing further indebtedness, Cecilie implored Simon to meet her in Oslo to address their situation. But then, Simon started acting differently towards Cecilie. He wasn't as friendly as before, and promised to fix her financial problems soon. He even sent a photo showing a big deposit into her account, but it never appeared. When Cecilie tried to reach out to Simon, he got frustrated and denied everything. Realizing she'd been tricked and that her relationship was over, Cecilie turned to her family in Oslo. Feeling overwhelmed by the huge debt she now had, she struggled to explain the situation to her creditors, including a moment where she hesitated while talking to an American Express representative. The American Express representative notified Cecilie of impending visits from agents to discuss her debt. During the meeting, the agents requested a photo of the individual who coerced her into taking out the loans. Presenting a picture of Simon, Cecilie received confirmation from the agents that he was indeed the culprit. Shockingly, they revealed that Cecilie was not the first victim of her ex-boyfriend's deceitful schemes, and his identity was not limited to Simon Leviev. Despite the similarities in their stories, law enforcement had been ineffective in apprehending him. Cecilie fell into a deep depression after realizing she would never be able to recover her losses. Cecilie was determined to stop more victims, so she contacted the authorities in Norway and England. However, because she did not know who he really was, and he had not broken any laws, they were powerless to stop him. This frustration underscored the grim reality of the situation. Immoral actions did not always equate to legal consequences, fueling Cecilie's determination to stop Simon Leviev before he inflicted more harm on others. Cecilie shared her ordeal with VG, a prominent media outlet in Norway. Upon hearing her account, VG requested evidence to substantiate her claims. Fortunately, Cecilie possessed a wealth of texts, photos, and voice recordings from her relationship with Simon, providing ample material for VG's investigation. Meanwhile, Pernilla Sjöholm didn't know about Simon Leviev's trickery as they traveled to different countries, enjoying luxurious lives paid for by innocent victims. Simon's way of operating was to charm women on Tinder, treating them to fancy experiences, using money he had got from others like Cecilie. This scheme has trapped many women over time. VG journalists found evidence suggesting that someone who looked like Simon had spent 2 years in jail in Finland for tricking and cheating on 3 women. The parallels between Cecilie Felhoy's experience and the description provided by Finnish authorities prompted VG journalists to delve deeper. Their investigation revealed that the individual returned to Israel after serving his prison term in 2017. With this information, VG reporters embarked on a mission to uncover Simon's true identity and trace his roots. They delved into court records, unveiling that Simon Leviev was formerly known as Shimon Hayut. The team located Hayut's childhood residence, where they encountered a woman claiming to be his mother. However, she revealed that she had severed ties with her son due to his history of deceit and infidelity. Despite an active arrest warrant issued by Israeli authorities, Simon had managed to flee Israel using a forged passport and avoided being apprehended in Europe. With their efforts thwarted, the journalists returned home, determined to devise alternative strategies to apprehend Shimon Hayut before he victimized more women. While VG journalists were on the trail of Hayut, Simon found himself strapped for cash once again, prompting him to seek financial aid from his friend Pernilla. Employing the same tactics he used with Cecilie, Simon fabricated tales of danger and urgency, convincing Pernilla to part with $50,000 under the guise of imminent peril. Despite reservations stemming from her savings for a house, Pernilla trusted Simon's assurances, given his past lavish expenditures on her behalf. However, her trust waned as she observed Simon purchasing multiple plane tickets for undisclosed individuals, hinting at his ulterior motives. As Pernilla pressed for repayment, Simon's demeanor turned defensive and irritable. Meanwhile, VG journalists scrutinizing Cecilie's financial records stumbled upon multiple plane tickets purchased with her funds, bearing Pernilla Sjöholm. Realizing the extent of Simon's deception, they reached out to Pernilla, prompting her to confront the harsh reality of her friend's deceit. During a call with VG, she panicked, realizing she wouldn't get back the money she lent to Simon. Feeling devastated and angry, she decided to team up with VG to gather proof against the Tinder swindler. Pernilla reached out to Simon, pretending she urgently needed her money back. Simon suggested meeting in Munich to give her a watch worth $100,000. Pernilla suspected the watch was fake, but agreed, planning to expose Simon. She funded her flight, and upon arrival, found Simon awaiting her in luxurious attire with a lavish car. Throughout their dinner, Pernilla discreetly updated VG on their location. Exiting the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, VG captured their first footage of the perpetrator. Simon, spotting the cameraman, hastily ordered everyone to leave, sensing exposure looming. As Simon insisted enemies pursued them, Pernilla discerned the truth. VG photographers were tailing them. Racing through Munich, Pernilla feared for her safety, demanded to exit once the car slowed. She hailed a cab back to the airport and promptly flew to VG headquarters in Oslo. Before confronting Simon, she had the watch appraised. It was indeed a counterfeit. Facing insurmountable debt, Pernilla dialed Simon under VG's watchful eyes, confronting him about his deceitful actions. Simon, enraged, lashed out, echoing his threats to Cecilie. VG documented the entire confrontation. Bringing Cecilie and Pernilla together, VG united the victims in solidarity against the manipulative con artist. Despite authorities' lack of action, the women, bounded by their shared ordeal, consented to VG's publication of their harrowing experiences, exposing Simon's betrayal to the world. VG published the Tinder Swindler expose in February 2019, triggering a flood of testimonies from more women, duped by Simon Leviev worldwide. His fraudulent schemes extended beyond individuals, including families, businesses, and other unsuspecting victims. Aileen Charlotte, awaiting for her flight to Amsterdam, stumbled upon her boyfriend's face on VG's cover. Shocked, she pursued the damning article detailing Simon Leviev's deceitful exploits. Eileen's world crumbled as she realized she had been dating him for over a year, lending him substantial money. Overwhelmed, she contacted Simon before takeoff, prompting a flurry of denials and accusations. Upon landing, Eileen grappled with conflicting emotions, torn between love and mounting evidence of Simon's betrayal. Every recounted detail mirrored her own experiences, leaving her nauseated. Despite her uncertainty, she reached out to the authorities, only to face the familiar refrain of needing concrete proof to take action against her duplicitous partner. In a spontaneous decision, Eileen resolved to take matters into her own hands, recognizing that the article's widespread exposure would hinder Simon's ability to deceive others on Tinder. As she got into Simon's car, she feigned belief in his innocence, masking her actual knowledge of his deceit. Enduring his affections with revulsion, Eileen maintained the facade of affection throughout the night to execute her plan. Upon parting ways, Eileen persuaded Simon to part with some of his high-end designer clothing for quick cash. Aware of their genuine value, he accepted. Loading suitcases with his belongings, Simon slipped a note into her bag, expressing delusional sentiments of love and family, which only fueled Eileen's disgust. Determined to never fall for his ploy again, Eileen resolved not to send him money. Eileen successfully sold the clothes on eBay, reclaiming some of her losses and finding solace in knowing that Simon was trapped without recourse. Upon realizing Eileen's deception, Simon vacillated between leaving threatening messages and offering apologies, his once grandiose facade crumbling into desperation. Despite his downfall, Simon remained a free man, albeit destitute. When he implored Eileen to purchase a plane ticket from Prague, she refused, refusing to aid his escape. Aware of Simon's likely attempt to flee Europe under a new identity, Eileen suspected his use of a credit card bearing the name David Sharon. With law enforcement disinterested, Eileen took it upon herself to thwart Simon's plans again, determined to prevent him from perpetuating his scams under a new guise. Eileen diligently monitored her messages, vigilant to ensure Simon's potential escape was thwarted. Her suspicions peaked when she noticed Simon's sudden offline status, a rarity for him. Convinced he was airborne, Eileen recalled his mention of Greece and swiftly investigated flights from Prague to Athens. Discovering a flight coinciding with Simon's disappearance online, she promptly alerted the authorities via police and Interpol hotlines, detailing Simon's adoption of the false identity, David Sharon. Recognizing the gravity of assuming a fake persona to cross borders, Eileen anxiously awaited any response, uncertain of the impact her messages would have. Then, relief washed over her as news arrived. Interpol had apprehended Simon at the Athens airport, his disheveled appearance a stark contrast to his former facade. All the women swindled by Simon Leviev finally received a modicum of justice. However, this tale does not conclude with a happy ending. Sent back to Israel to stand trial for theft, fraud, and forgery, Simon Leviev faced a 15-month prison sentence. Despite the extent of the havoc he wreaked and the anguish he caused, his stint seemed brief, as he was released after only 5 months for good behavior. As a result, numerous individuals worldwide remain trapped in substantial debt due to his actions, while he roams freely on the streets of Israel. When reporters queried him about his experience, he callously remarked that he had the right to choose whatever name he wanted. He never presented himself as the son of anyone, but people used their imaginations. Maybe their hearts were broken during the process, but he never took a dime from them. He further said that these women enjoyed themselves in his company. They traveled and saw the world on his dime, despite being an unabashed falsehood. Such words are unsurprising from a psychopath. Under his legal name, Simon Leviev, he swiftly returned to Instagram upon his 2020 release, amassing 97,500 followers. Shockingly, he embarked on a relationship with an Israeli model, Kate Conlon, shortly after leaving jail, despite his egregious actions against numerous women now widely known. Flaunting luxurious cars, designer apparel, and opulent hotels in his posts, the origin of his newfound wealth remains unclear. While he claims to offer business consultation services through his own company, his qualifications are dubious at best. Interpol awaits his departure from Israel to effect his arrest, as authorities in various European countries now seek him. However, they may have missed their opportunity to pursue charges against him. Rumors suggest the authentic Leviev family is pursuing legal action against him to ensure he faces justice and receives the sentence he deserves. Regrettably, justice seems unlikely to prevail in this saga, and Simon Leviev may evade accountability for his reprehensible deeds. It is estimated that he siphoned approximately $10 million from women across the globe. Consequently, while he remains at liberty, countless individuals grapple with crippling debt incurred due to his actions. As the Times of Israel reported in 2020, Simon Leviev allegedly posed as a medical worker to secure early access to the COVID-19 vaccine. During an interview with CNN on February 21, 2022, Leviev vehemently denied defrauding the women, asserting that he was merely a single guy who wanted to meet some girls on Tinder. In February 2022, legal representatives for the Leviev family lodged a criminal complaint against Hayut in the Tel Aviv Magistrates Court. The complaint cited changes of libelous publications, privacy infringement, and violation of trademark orders. Subsequently, in July 2022, another criminal complaint was filed against Hayut for tarnishing the family's reputation. However, the Leviev family's complaint hearing faced postponement following a request from the Israeli prosecutor's office. Criminal investigations that are still pending against Simon Leviev for the same alleged offenses are what caused the delay. In 2022, Netflix unveiled The Tinder Swindler, a documentary chronicling his exploits narrated by 3 women. Following its release, The Washington Post reported that it became Netflix's most-watched documentary, earning 5 Emmy nominations. Shortly after the documentary's debut, Leviev partnered with talent manager Gina Rodriguez of Jutani Incorporated to explore opportunities in the entertainment industry. He embarked on ventures including book publishing, a movie adaptation of his life, and TV series development. Additionally, he established a Cameo account, offering personalized videos for $99 each. The Tinder Swindler unfolds as a gripping modern-day tale, transcending the digital confines of dating apps to delve into the depths of deception and human vulnerability. Known to his victims as the master manipulator, he gained this reputation for his remarkable capacity to seduce and trick a great number of people, causing financial ruin and heartache in his wake. Despite efforts to expose his true identity and intentions, his elaborate schemes and persuasive tactics left his victims baffled and betrayed. His calculated maneuvers drew comparisons to infamous con artists, solidifying his reputation as a contemporary swindler in online dating. Yet, amidst the intrigue of his exploits, his story also speaks of the devastating impact of trust betrayed and lives shattered. Setbacks, heartaches, and the harsh reality of betrayal mark his victims' relentless pursuit of justice and closure. Despite earning the titles like Master of Deception, his legacy serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the dangers lurking behind the screens of virtual connections. Reflecting on this captivating narrative prompts us to reconsider the boundaries of trust and the complexities of navigating the digital age. If you're intrigued, join us for more gripping stories. Like, share, and subscribe.